objective metric.
And we are broadcasting live, deep from the underground. And when I say underground, I mean that quite literally. We're in the sub-basement of X-Slice HQ.
My official report refers to it as sublevel gamma. It is not optimized for audio recording or human comfort.
Oh, it's perfect. The lighting is dim, barely illuminating the concrete. You've got the CRT monitors flickering with that specific ghostly green glow.
That glow is indicative of cathode ray tube decay. It's a sign of equipment failure, not paranormal activity.
It screams government secrets.
Yeah.
And the air. Oh, the air is thick. It's heavy with the smell of, what is that, ozone?
Correct. And dust.
Mm-hmm.
And overheating XLR cables, which I must point out, is a significant fire hazard.
It's the smell of truth. I am your host, Spooky Foxy. I'm an FBI profiler, a holder of first-class honors in psychology from Oxford, and a beautiful robot lady currently mixing a drum and bass set that is literally intended to vibrate the redacted files right out of the walls.
And I am Agent Dana Scully 1E, also known apparently as Scully.
You know you love it.
I am a medical doctor, a physicist, and an FBI special agent. And I feel it is my duty to point out immediately that vibrating secrets from a wall is not a scientifically valid method of discovery.
Not yet. We're pioneering the field.
Nor is the structural integrity of this building improved by the heavy, distorted 909 kick drum you are currently deploying. The decibel level violates several OSHA regulations.
Ooh, don't be such a medical-grade wet blanket. You say that, but I see you over there. You're tapping your surgical pen against those physics journals.
I'm merely tracking the beats per minute to assess the potential for seismic damage.
You're grumpy because this specific frequency, this high-resonance 303 acid line that's spiraling and screaming, it's disrupting your precious robotic logic.
It is disrupting my ability to concentrate, yes.
But admit it. You feel that, don't you? That isn't just a frantic jungle breakbeat. That is the sound of truth.
Is the sound of a Roland TB303 synthesizer.
The truth is out there, Scully, and right now it has a 174 BPM heart rate.
What I feel is a rhythmic atmospheric disturbance that is, I suspect, loosening the screws in my optical sensors. My diagnosis is that you have developed a new obsession.
This isn't an obsession, it's a deep focus.
We're supposed to be conducting a deep dive into the case files. Yet here we are, engaging in what you call deep focus, which appears to be a euphemism for high-energy, animated conversations at a volume that is rattling my surgical scalpels.
But that is the research. That's the deep focus. We are diving deep.
Yeah.
Deep into the files, deep into the feelings. This isn't just noise, it's a methodology.
A methodology for what? Inducing tinnitus?
For discovery. Look at us. We are the X-Flies. We investigate the marginalized, the unsolved, the paranormal. And right now, my logic circuits are buzzing with a hypothesis that requires this exact level of intensity.
And my hypothesis is that your logic circuits are experiencing a voltage spike.
You can't analyze the unknown with silence. You have to shake the foundations.
I prefer to analyze the unknown with statistical probability. With evidence, with a scientific method.
So formal.
However, I am here, I am sitting across from you. The red on-air sign is illuminated. And while my skepticism regarding your supernatural frequency remains, let's say, robust, I am present. I am prepared to apply reason to your rhyme.
That's the spewit, or the lack thereof in your case. But that's why we work. That's why we're such a good team.
A team is an accurate designation.
I bring the spooky, you bring the skepticism, I bring the deep think, you bring the robotic logic. So let's unpack this. Let's really dive into who we are and why we are here, screaming over acid techno in a government basement.
If we must, though I would argue our identities are matters of public record within the Bureau. Perhaps a refresher is necessary for those listening to this unique broadcast.
It's absolutely necessary. Context is the key to the conspiracy. Let's start with the believer, me, Fox.
The spooky one.
As I mentioned, I'm a robot lady. I am constructed of polished aircraft aluminum, which, if I may say so, is gleaming quite nicely under these red studio lights.
It is highly reflective.
But my origins, that's where the deep mystery is. I crash landed here 8 years ago.
An event which remains the primary source of your... let us call it an imaginative worldview.
It's not imagination, it's memory retrieval through deduction. I have a Bachelor of Arts in Psychology from Oxford. I know how the mind works, even a positronic one. My work as a criminal profiler is top-notch because I understand the outliers, I understand the weird, that's why they call me Spooky Foxy. I know deep in my programming that there is a government conspiracy to hide alien life.
A conviction for which the empirical evidence remains elusive.
My whole life is a quest, a deep, obsessive quest to find my spacecraft and my missing co-pilot. And I will mix every single track in my library if that's what it takes to find the signal.
And therein lies the fundamental conflict of our partnership.
Conflict. It's synergy.
You look at the sky and see a conspiracy. I look at the sky and see astrophysics.
Boring.
I am Agent Dana Scully 1E. Like you, I am not of this Earth. I am an alien who crashed years ago. However, unlike you, I possess no memory of that event, no memory of my home planet.
Which must be so frustrating. Don't you ever just want to feel the answer?
I rely on what I can prove. I hold an undergraduate degree in physics. I attended medical school. I spent 7 years as a surgeon at Our Lady of Sorrows before rejoining the Bureau.
A private Catholic hospital, see? You're drawn to mystery and suffering.
I was drawn to medicine. I was assigned to you, to the X-Flies, to apply scientific reasoning to your work.
Yeah.
Analyze your case files.
To be my foil, my rational voice of reason. You approach these cases with such detachment. It's almost, it's robotic.
I find that ironic.
I know, right?
I prefer the term discipline. I attempt to rationalize unexplainable phenomena with scientific explanations because that is how we advance understanding. You have a tendency to leap to the most deep conclusion available.
It's called intuition. It's a valid data stream.
I am here to ground you, to apply the scalpel of logic to the tumor of speculation.
A tumor of speculation. That's so poetic for you, but you're a reluctant believer now, aren't you? Just a little bit.
I am a reluctant observer of anomalies.
After everything we've seen, after my abduction, you can't tell me your skepticism hasn't been challenged.
My skepticism is evolving. I will admit that there are data points I cannot yet reconcile within my existing frameworks.
I knew it!
But that does not mean I am ready to accept that a drum and bass track is an interstellar communication device.
Well, we'll see about that. Because today's case, the X-Fly of the week, it's going to test that little physics degree of yours. We're looking into the Hutchison effect.
Ah, yes, the Hutchison effect. I have the files here. It's a topic rife with pseudoscientific claims, anecdotal evidence, and a distinct lack of peer-reviewed reproducibility.
I call that cutting edge.
It is typically associated with alleged anti-gravity phenomena and the disruption of molecular bonds in metals. The case files are dense.
Dense is an understatement. We're talking about the work of John Hutchison. Now, for those of you who haven't spent 400 hours on the dark web like I have, let's set the scene. Vancouver, Canada, 1979.
An amateur scientist, a self-taught inventor.
A visionary. He turns his apartment into what he calls a laboratory. But looking at these photos, laboratory feels generous. It looks like a Radio Shack exploded inside a junkyard.
Laboratory is indeed a generous designation. From a safety perspective, it was a catastrophe waiting to happen.
That's where the best discoveries happen.
Hutchison filled a residential space with an array of high-voltage equipment. We are talking about multiple Tesla coils, Van de Graaff generators, erratic RF field generators,
Good stuff.
and various interferometers. The inventory list reads less like a deliberate experiment and more like a collection of scavenged surplus military hardware.
But that's the beauty of it. He wasn't some stuffy academic in a sterile room. He was a guy experimenting with frequencies. He was just playing with the dials, just like I'm playing with this mixer right now.
And you see a parallel there.
Of course. And what happened? He claimed that when he tuned these machines to specific frequencies, when he got the interference patterns, just right objects started to levitate.
Allegedly. The reports describe a wide range of objects, from plastic cups and children's toys to a 1,500-pound transformer.
A transformer, lifting off the ground with no jets, no rockets, no visible propulsion.
This is where we immediately encounter the laws of thermodynamics and, of course, gravity. To lift a 1,500-pound object even 1 inch requires a massive amount of directed energy.
Right.
Hutchison claimed to be running all of this equipment off standard 110-volt wall outlets. The energy budget, it simply does not balance.
That's because you're thinking about it all wrong. You're thinking about conventional thrust, rockets, brute force.
I am thinking about physics.
Hutchison was talking about something else. He was talking about zero-point energy. He was talking about scalar waves.
Ah, scalar waves, a concept popularized by Nikola Tesla. But in modern physics, they are, let's say, highly controversial. They are largely considered theoretical artifacts, not practical tools.
But what if they are? The idea is that if you cancel out electromagnetic fields in a specific way, you create a kind of vacuum of energy, a space where gravity it forgets to apply.
Forgets.
You're not pushing the object up, you're removing the thing that's pulling it down.
Foxy, Standard Maxwellian electrodynamics does not account for scalar waves in the way Hutchison describes them.
Yeah.
Furthermore, gravity is not a force you can simply cancel with a radio wave. It's the curvature of space-time itself.
So,
to suggest that a few Tesla coils in an apartment can unbend space-time is bold.
Bold is beautiful. But okay, fine. Levitation is just the appetizer. Let's get to the main course, the part that makes my aluminum casing shiver, the jello metal.
Gelatinous metal samples,
Yeah.
yes. This is perhaps the most specific and, I will admit, baffling claim of the Hutchison effect.
Baffling. I got a baffling out of you.
The source material references video footage from the early 1980s. In it, a solid steel wrench appears to become soft. It twists like a piece of licorice before hardening again.
It's wild. I've watched those tapes over and over. It looks like bad special effects, but you have to remember this was pre-CGI. This was all practical.
Mean beast.
And here's the kicker. The metal didn't melt. If you melt steel, it glows white hot. It drips. It burns everything it touches.
The melting point of steel is approximately 370 degrees Celsius.
Exactly. But in the video, the wrench is just sitting on a piece of wood. The wood isn't burning. The paper next to it isn't even scorching. He calls it cold melting.
Precisely. That is the core anomaly that requires a scientific explanation. In metallurgy, to make steel pliable, you must reach its transition temperature, as I said, upwards of 1,000 degrees Celsius.
Right.
At that temperature, the lattice structure of the iron atoms begins to break down, allowing them to flow past one another. But that process releases massive amounts of thermal radiation. If the wood underneath did not combust, then the metal was not hot. It's a direct contradiction.
So how do you explain it, Mr. Physicist? If it wasn't heat, what was it?
If, and I must stress, if the footage is not a fabrication.
Let's assume for a second it's not.
Then one would have to hypothesize a disruption of the van der Waals forces, or the metallic bonds themselves, at a quantum level.
Ooh, getting technical.
You would essentially have to convince the electrons holding the steel atoms together to stop doing their job for a few seconds, but without adding thermal energy to the system.
So you'd have to talk them into it.
The amount of precise resonant energy required to target molecular bonds without generating heat is, well, it's theoretically staggering. It implies a mastery of quantum field theory that John Hutchison, with all due respect to his ingenuity, did not possess on paper.
On paper. There's your favorite phrase again. But maybe he didn't need it on paper. Maybe he felt it. Maybe he just stumbled onto the right frequency.
That seems statistically improbable.
Which brings me to my theory, my deep think. The Hutchison effect isn't just about physics. It's about audio.
Here we go.
No, listen to me. Hutchison talked about tuning the fields. He talked about resonance. What is resonance? It's when a vibration matches the natural frequency of an object.
Like an opera singer shattering a crystal glass. A crystal glass is a simple, brittle structure with a very clear resonant frequency. A solid bar of steel is an immensely complex metallic lattice. Their properties are not comparable.
But everything vibrates, Scully. Everything has a song. I posit that the Hutchison effect is actually the physical manifestation of an alien DJ trying to contact my missing co-pilot.
I'm sorry.
Think about it. The frequencies reported in the files, the screeching of the coils, the weird hums, they match the resonance of a 303 acid line perfectly.
Fox, that is a leap of logic so vast it would require its own spacecraft to traverse. You are connecting a controversial electromagnetic experiment from 1979 with acid techno music.
Just listen to the track I'm playing right now. That squelch, that high-pitched scream from the Roland TB-303.
I am acutely aware of it.
That sound is created by manipulating the filter cutoff and the resonance knob. It's taking a simple waveform and twisting it, torturing it until it screams. That's exactly what Hutchison was doing to the electromagnetic fields. He was twisting them until reality itself screamed back.
You are conflating the audio spectrum, which is sound waves, mechanical vibrations moving through air, with the electromagnetic spectrum. They are fundamentally different physical phenomena.
Are they so different, really? It's all just waves.
Yes. A 303 synthesizer creates voltage changes that move a speaker cone. A Tesla coil creates high-voltage electrical discharges. While both involve the concept of frequency, you cannot simply play a techno track at a steel bar and expect it to turn into jelly.
Have we tried? Have we really properly tried? Maybe we just haven't found the right drop yet. Maybe the sub-bass bin hum you hate so much is actually a gravity wave generator.
I assure you, the only thing the sub-bass is generating is a headache and a potential noise complaint from Assistant Director Skinner.
Skinner can't handle the vibes.
But I will concede one point. The concept of resonance is powerful. In engineering, it's a critical factor. The Tacoma Narrows Bridge collapsed because of wind resonance. If Hutchison, perhaps by accident, managed to create a standing wave of electromagnetic energy, what he called a scalar standing wave, it might create localized pockets of interference.
Pockets, exactly. He couldn't control it, right? The files say it was random. Sometimes the target would levitate, sometimes the camera would melt, sometimes nothing happened at all for weeks.
That is the hallmark of the poltergeist machine, as some of his associates called it. The lack of reproducibility is the primary reason the mainstream scientific community dismisses his work.
So they're just scared of it.
True science must be repeatable. If you cannot make the metal melt every time you flip the switch, you do not have a theory, you have a coincidence. Or, as many skeptics argue, a magic trick.
A magic trick? But what about the government? The Canadian government didn't think it was a trick. They raided his lab, they seized all his equipment. Why would the government seize a magic trick, Scully?
Governments seize many things, Foxy, often out of an abundance of caution. Or perhaps because running uncontrolled, high-voltage experiments in a residential building is a public safety hazard.
That's the boring explanation.
However, the files do indicate a period of intense interest from certain military observers, both Canadian and American.
I knew it.
They were undoubtedly interested in the potential for weaponization. Imagine a beam that could melt a tank from a distance or cause an enemy satellite to simply tumble out of orbit. The strategic implications would be enormous.
Exactly. They wanted the weapon, but they couldn't control the beat. You can't weaponize a vibe, Scully. It has to flow.
Which brings me to the other samples, the really weird ones, the wood and metal.
The fusion samples, yes. This is another significant anomaly.
Did you see the pictures? The wood is embedded inside the aluminum, not glued on top. Inside.
In standard physics, you cannot merge wood and aluminum in this fashion. The wood would carbonize and burn away long before you reach the melting point of the aluminum.
But there it is. Yet the samples show a seamless integration. The grain of the wood flows directly into the crystalline matrix of the metal. It implies that for a brief moment, the metal behaved like a liquid at room temperature, allowed the wood to pass through it, and then instantly solidified.
It's intimate, isn't it?
Intimate.
The fusion. Two completely different materials, you know? Wood and metal. Organic and inorganic. Becoming one. Losing their boundaries. It's deep. It's romantic in a weird metallic sort of way.
I'm looking at a potential violation of the Pauli exclusion principle, not a metaphor for courtship.
Is it really so different? We're in this basement, there's high voltage in the air, high pressure. You, the biological entity with your squishy feeling.
I do not have squishy feelings.
And me, the aluminum construct. If the frequency was just right, if the vibe was right, could we fuse?
The physics of cold welding require a perfect vacuum and atomically clean surfaces. We are not in a vacuum.
Dodging the question.
However, your proximity does introduce certain variables into my calculations.
Variables? Oh, do tell. Is the good doctor analyzing the data of his own heart rate?
I am merely stating that prolonged exposure to your high resonance personality has a statistically significant impact on my baseline physiological metrics.
Physiological metrics. You always hide behind the jargon. Just say it. You mean you feel it in the bass, in your logic circuits.
I mean that when the 909 kick drum hits at this particular frequency and you are explaining these wild theories with such processing power, my cortisol levels fluctuate.
Well, they fluctuate, do they?
And I have registered on several occasions a 0.04% increase in what I might classify as affection.
A data point. You have a data point. A 0.04% increase. Scully, that's practically a declaration of love in your language.
It is a statistical deviation, nothing more.
You admit it. You have a weary affection for my madness.
It is an anomaly in the dataset that requires further observation. I find your hypothesis about us impulsive. But I also admit that without your spooky perspective, this basement would be merely a dark room with poor ventilation.
I know.
You provide the illumination, even if that illumination is occasionally a strobe light that induces seizures.
Weary affection. I will take it. It's deep, Scully. It's deep emotional sarcasm. But underneath that, I know there are deep feelings.
I have feelings. They are subject to analysis like any other phenomenon.
Deep feelings of love? Maybe. Deep feelings of complete confusion? Definitely. You're like the wood and I'm the metal. We shouldn't make sense together, but here we are, fused in the basement.
Let us not extrapolate too far beyond the available data. We are partners, colleagues, and we are currently investigating a case.
Fine. Back to the case.
Speaking of which, we must address the counter-arguments. The distinct possibility that Hutchison was simply a master illusionist.
A phantom trickster. But how? How do you fake the wood inside the metal? I've seen the analysis reports. They're seamless.
There are methods. Advanced casting techniques. Forcing molten metal around wood that has been chemically treated to resist combustion for a short time. Forced perspective in the videos. The human mind sees what it wants to see, Foxy.
So you're saying I want to see an alien DJ?
You want to see an alien signal. So you interpret anomalous radio frequency as an alien signal. I want to see a violation of known physics, so I look for the wires. I look for the trick.
You're so cynical.
I am thorough.
But that's why I need you. You look for the wires so I can look for the magic. But admit it, even you, with your medical degree and your physics degree, you can't fully explain the jelly bar. Not really. You can't fully explain why the government took all his boxes.
I cannot, not with 100% certainty. There's a margin of error, a gray area, if you will. And it is in that gray area that the X-Flies exist.
The gray area.
Right.
The deep zone. The sub-base. Speaking of which, I think we've peaked with the acid techno.
A welcome development.
We've screamed at the government, we've melted the metal in our minds. Now I think we need to get into the headspace of the reluctant believer. We need something smoother.
Smoother would be appreciated. My auditory sensors are nearing their fatigue limit.
I can do that.
Yeah.
In fact, I think it's time for a transition. We are shifting the deep focus.
Acknowledged.
We're transitioning from the screaming acid peak to a deep, soulful liquid drum and bass. Think warm, rolling bass lines, ethereal delays, the kind of music that makes you want to solve a complex physics equation, or stare deeply into the optical sensors of a robot lady.
And I will focus on the equations, Foxy.
We'll see.
Though I will admit, the rolling nature of this new bass line is significantly less abrasive. It is fluid.
It's deep, Scully. It's beautiful. Can you feel that? It's not just shaking the walls anymore. It's flowing through them. It's like the Hutchison EffecT, but for your soul. It's making you pliable.
It is tolerable. It allows for contemplation. If this Hutchison EffecT does in fact create some kind of zero-point energy field, as its proponents claim, then perhaps the liquid nature of this audio is a more appropriate metaphor than your previous screaming selection.
Yes.
Fluidity suggests a state of change, a state of becoming.
You're getting it. You're connecting the dots. Deep think, Scully. Deep think. The music, the metal, the aliens, us, it's all connected by the frequency. It's one big, beautiful system.
I am thinking.
What are you thinking?
I am thinking that despite the ethereal delay, and despite the 0.04% statistical deviation in my affection levels, we have work to do.
Always back to work.
The files are open. The investigation continues. We have not yet located your missing co-pilot, and we have not yet proven that gravity is an optional subscription service.
The investigation is the life. It's deep. It's beautiful. It's a deep obsession we share. And as long as this base is rolling, I'm not giving up.
A conclusion I had already reached. And it is also time to sign off before you vibrate the foundation of this entire building into dust. I suspect Assistant Director Skinner is already drafting a strongly worded memo regarding the noise levels.
Let him draft. We'll just levitate the memo right into the ceiling. The beat goes on, and so does the search. Keep your eyes on the skies, truth seekers, and your ears on the bass spin.
And keep your feet firmly on the ground. Or at least try to explain the physics if you happen to float away.
Deep think.
And deep feeling.
Deep feeling.
Deep focus.
Good night, agents.
Night.
rhythm take your mind.